Hello, everybody. Thanks for showing up. This is the fourth and final webinar in our series, The Time of Your Life. I thank you for showing up during the busy holiday season, but this might be the best time of year to think about how to make the best use of your time. So thank you. Okay, so we always start with a moment of intention. If you would just take a breath with me and close your eyes if you would. Once again, we affirm that we are here to improve the quality of our lives. We're here to remember our true identity as divine beings. We're here to remember that we have mastery over our life if we choose it. And mastery over time is one of the key elements of that discipline. We open now such that each person might receive the maximal benefit for you for this time period, whether you're joining us live or watching the recording. And we call upon your deep inner wisdom to speak to your heart and mind that which can be most helpful to you at this time in your life. If you have a decision to make, a direction to choose, a relationship you're working out, a project, we're seeing all of these elements enfolded in grace. We see you bigger than any challenge. We see you bigger than time. And we recognize that we have come together for a mighty purpose, to awaken together, to support each other, and to grow spiritually. And so it is. Thank you. Okay, so we have our last 5 lessons today, and you will actually get 4 more lessons after today. We won't cover them in a webinar, but starting tomorrow, you'll get lessons 21 to 24 to be studied at your own time and right way. Okay, so let's just dive right in. At the end of today, we will give you some extra time to ask any questions or make any comments. So let's do it, shall we? Okay. So lesson 16 could be my favorite, although they all could be. But what we're talking about in this lesson is removing the belief that there's something out there that will make you happy when you get there. That can be in geography and place, or it can be in time. And this is the ego's game. Another name for ego is gap. The ego is the part of our mind that says, I am not enough, and therefore there is not enough. There's not enough time, money, relationships, jobs, peace. And the ego is constantly telling us that when something else happens, you'll be all right, but it's not happening now. And so one of the ways the ego fools us is to think that there will be more available to you in the future than there is now. And it's like the carrot that dangles in front of the goat. The goat gets a little bite, but then immediately the carrot goes farther from the goat. So you're never really, you get a little bite once in a while, but you're never really fulfilled. So what we're going to do today is we're going to close the gap between where I think I'm not and where it is. And the best teacher of that was our elder brother Jesus, who said, and I say this in just about every book and webinar, I cannot say this too much. Jesus said this to the people. He said, you say there are still 4 months until the fields are white with harvest. I say, look up. The fields are ripe for harvest now. What he was doing was he was bringing his students and all of us really into the now moment. He was kind of reeling in that future date to now, saying, the harvest that you seek in 4 months is available now. Do not play the game of saying in 4 months I can have my reward, when you can have your reward now. Now, you may not have it all materially, but the spiritual reward that you're seeking is available now. He also said, whatever you ask in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. Now, you can see how Jesus was a master metaphysician. People turned him into a religious icon. They're worshiping the pointer instead of the point. He was pointing to the point, and they ended up laying at the feet of the pointer instead of getting the point. There was a Zen phrase that says, do not mistake the finger pointing at the moon for the moon itself. So Jesus was the greatest metaphysical teacher of all time, as far as I can tell, because he was telling people how to find wholeness and peace and completion within them, instead of looking for another person or place or money or house or time to complete them. If you've taken any of my relationship courses, you know that I make fun of the movie Jerry Maguire, and I say the line "you complete me" really set relationships back 100 years, because it makes you think that you're incomplete, and if you find the right person, you will become complete. And this is the cause of all sorrow and strife in relationships, because people feel empty and think another person has what they don't have. And when I get you, I'll have what I don't have. And that's where all the trouble starts in relationships. It's only when you know yourself to be whole that you stand a chance in relationships. And it's the same thing with all of life. So what Jesus was saying was, instead of praying for something, pray from it. Instead of asking to get it, know that spiritually you already have it. And you've heard me say in many of my webinars that the master of this teaching was Neville, Neville. Maybe in the Shank, you could type it in, Neville Goddard. And he was the guy who talked about the power of feeling the answer to your prayer even before it shows up materially. He called it the power of imagination, but he was saying the power of imagination is God's gift to you to claim your goal even before you think it has to happen in the outside world. And by the way, you can chat to Nishank at moderator if you want to say anything without raising your hand, okay? Questions or comments before we go on? This is good stuff. This is the best stuff. There's no better stuff than this anywhere on the planet, I'm telling you. This is the key to completion. I mean, if you could get completion out of this course, wouldn't it be worth your investment? It would be mine. Okay, let's move on. The Talmud, the Jewish Talmud from which Jesus was trained, it said, if not now, when? And it was inviting us now to live in the now moment rather than the later moment or the then moment. So I'd like you to think of something you believe will take some time to achieve. Let us say a physical healing. Let's say you're working on a physical issue and you've been told, you've read, you believe that it'll take me a month or 6 months or a year or 2 years to get this healed. Or let us say you are looking for a life partner and you think, well, I'm not ready. I think, well, maybe I'll be ready in a year or two. Or let us say you're looking to buy a home. Think, well, it's going to take me quite a while to get it together to get that home. And what I'm doing today is I'm inviting you to notice how your belief system dictates a length of time between where you stand and fulfillment. This is big stuff because what we're doing is we're poking at we're poking at the platform in our mind that says something has to take a long time or any time to happen. So would anybody want to share or type into the chat some goal you have and how long you think it'll take to reach it? Till I become a doctor, till I get married, till I move to Sedona. You want to say it or type into the chat? Okay, Ari, thank you. Go ahead, Ari.
So I started working on the life coaching training, and that's a goal of mine. And I had talked to you before about, just quitting my teaching job and, just giving myself that time. But then after looking at, financial and daycare and all those things, I realized, okay, I'm going to need more time to, start something before I can, let go of my full-time job. And it made me it made me sad, to think, okay, I have one more year to go, or a year and a half to go before I start venturing and doing the life coaching.
Understood. Thank you. So you think it's going to take a year or a year and a half for you to get your coaching practice going and leave your current job?
Yes.
Okay, understood. That makes sense on one level. Would you be willing to, let's hear somebody else, then we'll come back to all of you.
Yeah.
Somebody else want to say, stay with us. Somebody else want to say something you're waiting for to happen and how long you think it'll take? A healing, a relationship, a move, a house? Okay, we'll come back to Ari then. So would you be willing to question or challenge that belief? I think I have a screen for this now. Let's see if we can find it here. Would you be willing to question the time you believe and believe in a shorter time or no time? So what do you think about that, Ari? Would you be willing to not just take that as an absolute fact that you have to wait that long?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So let's hear from some of the rest of you. We're going to stay with you, Ari.
Okay.
So has anybody here, and I really want you to please raise your hand and speak if you have, has anybody here made a life transition that was helpful in a shorter time than you expected? Job change, relationship change, move? Who would like to say what you've done? Okay, Nishank, I was going to call on you anyway. Thanks for volunteering. Go ahead, Nishank.
So Alan, I don't know if it was earlier than expected, but for me, it was more like I was shown the sign and I was shown the way, and COVID was that sign. So back in 2017, when I did the coach training, I will never forget this moment. And in our one-to-one coaching call, I told you that I'm sure I want to let go of this job, but I don't know when. And you had asked me to focus on forget leaving the job, focus on starting what you would like to do, and then you will be told when the time is right. And then COVID was that way of being told that okay, now it's time to move on. So I don't know if it was earlier than expected. Sometimes when I look at my life today, I feel it was too late that that move happened. But however, I believe that it happened in perfect timing, and it was absolute brilliant and perfect timing. So yeah, that was the big move, and I've not had to look back ever in my life before.
Thank you,
yeah.
sir. Good example. Thank you. Someone else? Come on, be brave. Speak up so you can help other people. Okay, Mizuki-san. So what do you think you have to wait for? Let's hear.
Everything I learned, for example, with you and with Course in Miracles and everything, I keep learning, thinking that the moment when I accept the truth come later.
Say it one more time, please. You say just one more time, please.
Yeah, what we learn with you or in this
Yes.
kind of drink and with Course in Miracles, and I always hear, yeah, all these are illusions. But I realize that I have a belief and ego in myself, thinking that it will arrive after studying this, after putting
I see.
effort. And yeah, I see that now.
see.
And why
And
am I doing this?
so can you tell us one thing that should be open to have happen real soon that you think it's going to take a long time?
Yeah,
What would you most like to have happen sooner?
yes. I spoke with you about this theme that I'm not good at promotion and marketing. So it'd
Yes.
be wonderful to work with someone. And I
Yeah.
think it might be happening now.
Okay.
And the good news that you know Marie Kondo?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So her husband has been producing her, so he's a producer.
I see.
And he made a school to teach about producing someone. And now his students want to do some trial with people. And I thought something could happen.
Yes. So you've been struggling with this for a long time to how do I promote myself?
Yeah,
And you've probably thought it's going to take a long, long time for me to get promoted, yes?
yes.
And
And
now
it's difficult to
something has
meet that
shifted. Someone is available.
could be. And if I believe so, maybe it happens sooner because I was saying, oh, I can't find that person. I can't find that person. And I
Right.
was saying that by myself.
Yes. So would you repeat after me? I am willing to let my promotion get handled quickly and easily. Can you say that?
Yeah, I let my promotion be handled quickly and easily and happily.
And how does that feel?
That feels great. I've
Okay.
been so happy.
Yes. And now, if you're truly willing, and I think you are, it will happen. So it's really your own willingness that is the agent rather than some absolute chronology of time. Make sense?
It makes sense.
Okay. So I expect a report from you, okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Denise, you're waiting to find the right downsized house. Can we ask you, Denise, how long do you think it'll take? Open your mic there.
I don't have a set time in mind. I kind of turned it over to the universe that when the right house is available, then it will reveal itself to us.
Okay, so even if you don't have a set time in your head, if you did have a set time, what would it say? How long do you think it'll take?
7 months.
7 months.
Yes.
Okay. So I make a psychic prediction that with your current mindset, it'll take 7 months. Okay. Would you be willing to have it happen sooner?
Yes.
Okay. So would you do something like I asked Mizuki-san to do? I am open and willing to blank in a short time or a time frame. Go ahead, would you?
I am open and willing to finding the right downsized house in a short period of time.
Shorter than 7 months.
Yes.
Very good. Okay. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
So this is what the spiritual teacher named Bashar, who I've talked about before, he calls this the threshold of believability. The threshold of believability. And it means that stuff will take as long as you think it will take, unless you change your mind about how long you think it will take. And this is often true for physical healings. You get a diagnosis or prognosis that says it'll take you this long to heal. And sometimes it does, but I know so many people have healed so much more quickly than a doctor told them because they had intention to heal. Doctors mostly cite statistics. We understand that. It makes sense. And yet Statistics apply to groups, not individuals. And so statistics do not account for the unique consciousness of certain individuals who do not think with the masses. And so if you choose to exercise your unique divine mind, you can create a result that far transcends the statistics that usually apply to the masses. So this is why I never believe anybody when they tell me how long it's going to take. I remember in my early 40s, I needed, started getting reading glasses. And I remember going to Costco, and there's a stand where they have all the reading glasses. It says, well, if you're 40 years old, you need 1.0, age 45, you need 1.5, age 50, you need 2. Oh, so they basically tell you what prescription you're going to need at what age. And I thought, this is bullshit. And so I bought 1.5, and I've been wearing 1.5 for many, many years now, because I didn't believe their little stand that said at age 50, you're going to need 2. So you really have to be very careful about not absorbing into your subconscious the time limits or healing limits that other people prescribe for you. Okay, you got to be very careful it takes a very unique consciousness to choose for yourself rather than let somebody else choose for you. Someone said, if you don't use your mind, someone else will. Someone else will use your mind. Nishank, is that the same hand or the original hand? A new hand.
No. I raised my hand again.
Okay, go ahead.
Alan, I have a question to this. Talking about my own experience, the greedy mind or the ego mind, and how do you reframe this? The greedy mind says that, why didn't you come across this coach training program earlier? Like, you've been doing it since years. Why you came across it only in 2017? How wouldn't your life have been like this had you come across this earlier? So again, we are talking about time. And then there is a part of the mind that says, it's all happening perfect time. Probably at that time you were not matured enough, or the way you've taken this course this time, probably you wouldn't have been able to work on it the time before that. So how do you deal with this or reframe this when we talk about perfect timing, and when the greed is that, oh, why didn't this happen earlier?
Well, of the two voices, one says, I messed up because I could have done this sooner. And the second voice says, it's all perfect. Which one feels better?
Of course, the second voice feels better. It's just that, the ego's way of thinking around time.
Yeah.
The greed.
Yeah. See, that you're making a good point, because the ego is a master at creating gaps. So the gap you're proposing now is, if I had done something different, things would have been better.
Yeah.
So you're making up another fake gap about the way it should have been instead of the way it was. But as we've seen in this course many times over, there's a divine unfoldment, a divine timing to everything. Nothing could have happened at a different time than it did, for reasons the ego will never understand.
Yeah, right.
I mean, there's all kinds of things I wish I knew earlier. When I wish I knew at 17 what I know now, but I had to get to now to figure it out. So
Yeah.
you just have to trust that spirit's timing works. Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Good question. Okay. So, let us say this together. Open your mic if you would, please. Ready together?
I am open.
I am open
to
reach my goals
goals in the shortest time possible.
in the shortest
Claim
time.
rapid results
I
on
claim
deepest
rapid
level.
results.
My goal is
the deepest
already
level.
achieved.
My goal is already achieved.
Already achieved.
Yeah. Okay, close your mics, please. Thank you. So, this was the first time Jesus got into trouble. I don't know if you know the story, but after he went away for 18 years, he came back to his original synagogue in Nazareth, and he read from the Torah. And he read a passage from the prophet Isaiah, I believe, and it said, the blind will be healed, and it's a prophecy of heaven on earth. And Jesus said, in this day, the scripture is fulfilled. I think it said the Messiah will come. He said, in this day, the scripture is fulfilled. And the people went crazy. They kicked him out of the synagogue because he had the nerve to say that the good that you're waiting for is with you now. It was completely rebellious to the mindset that said one day the Messiah will come. So we just have to be so careful not to relegate our good to the future and claim our good now. Even if your body isn't working perfectly, even if you don't have the right partner, even if your finances are not what you hope, there's a part of you that is already whole, independent of the body, the finances, or the partner. Don't wait for that stuff to happen. These are the people who change the world are the ones who claim wholeness now instead of waiting, you know? I think the Wright brothers' father told him, the Wright brothers' father was a fundamentalist preacher, and he told him that a heavier than air machine was the work of the devil, and people weren't meant to fly. Well, aren't you glad they didn't listen to him? Although, okay, here we go. So we talk anything more on before we go? Anything more on in this day? Don't delay. It's so good. I can't think of a better lesson anywhere in any context. That you are what you're waiting to be. That you have what you're waiting to have. You deserve what you're waiting to deserve. All those tricks of the mind just take us out of the wholeness we already own. Okay, so let's move along. Interrupt me if you like. So deadlines annoy a lot of us. We all have deadlines for something or other. So there's a reason they call it a deadline, because when you approach it from the wrong mindset, you get dead. You kill yourself somehow trying to make your deadline. It's a really bad name for something. So I prefer to call it a target, a target moment or an intention or a goalpost or a milestone. See if you can remove that word deadline from your vocabulary, because it's not an empowering word. You're thinking, I'm going to get killed if I don't do this, but how about reframing that? When I complete this project, I'll feel really good. Something wonderful will happen. I'll feel so good this is behind me. It's not a deadline, it's a lifeline. When I complete this, I will gain greater life. Watch your language, because it'll kill you if you're not careful. So reframe deadlines as positive goals. You will be rewarded for achieving. So I don't know if I said this in this course or not, but I say this in all courses. So all you ever need to remember is 1, do what brings you life, and 2, quit doing what deadens you. Now this applies to jobs, it applies to your body, it applies to your finances, it applies to your relationships. Really, the Jews have 613 commandments. Do you know that? That no one could ever keep. The Christians boiled them down to 10, but hardly anybody ever does them. So I boiled it down to 2. And I will say that any religion you participate in, any guru you're studying with, any consciousness training you do, eventually it all comes down to this. Do what brings you life and quit doing what deadens you. We won't do it now, but in some of my classes, I have people make a list. They draw a line down the center of a paper, and they say, this is what I do that enlivens me, and this is what I do that deadens me. You make a list. I say, okay, now the name of the game is to maximize what enlivens you and to quit doing or reduce what deadens you. Really, that's all you ever need to know. I'm telling you, you can take all the consciousness courses in the world, but it all comes down to maximizing life force. If you study yoga, it's all about prana. If you study Hawaiian spirituality, it's all about mana. If you study Eastern medicine, it's all about chi or ki. It's all about taking life force and maximizing life force in your life and quit killing yourself. However you're killing yourself. You know, we blame people for suicide, or we feel sad about people who commit suicide, but there's a lot of people who commit a little bit of suicide every day. And eventually they just get sick and disappear. But it's a gradual suicide. And in Japan, there's a word for, what's that word again, Mizaki-san, for people who kill themselves working?
In Japanese,
Yeah,
自殺.
say it again.
自殺? The translation in Japanese?
Yeah, there's another word. But anyway, the Japanese very sadly have a big suicide rate. And a lot of people work so hard that they just drop dead from working day and night. It's a very sad thing. And that's also a form of suicide. So when you work too much, when you argue too much, when you worry too much, when you know, it's like those are all gradual suicides that kill you a little bit every time. So let's do it, maximize what gives us life instead of what deadens us, shall we? So you don't have to say this now, but I'm going to ask you to think among yourselves. Do any of you have a deadline that's killing you to think about it? Maybe a work deadline. You know, God bless the Japanese. They have this phrase that the Christmas cakes are stale on the 26th of December. And it means that a woman, she could be married by age 25, otherwise it's too late. And unfortunately, a lot of young women get married because they're afraid they're going to get too old, and they marry the wrong person. They end up having a divorce because they pressured themselves into it, or their parents pressured themselves into it. So, you know, that's a cultural deadline that really hurts a lot of young women. So just the way it is. Anybody think of any deadline you're having that's killing you? Anybody want to say what it is? Be honest. A deadline you set for yourself, or one that somebody set for you that you've adopted? Type it into the chat, huh? Come on, let's hear. Let's see some of it, please. What deadline is stifling you? To have a child before 40. Oh, that's a really good one. Maria, can I chat with you for a bit?
Yes. Hi.
So
Hi, Alan.
So let's hear this, a really great example. I hear this a lot. So what does that
Yeah.
oppressive voice say?
Well, yeah, I feel that that I'm 39.
Yeah.
So I feel like, oh wow. And this is the time to get pregnant, or else I don't know. But
Yeah.
yet I don't feel ready, and I mean, I'm talking with someone, but that's, you know, we're still getting to know each other.
Not quite ready for pregnancy.
No.
Got it. Yeah. So the voice says, if you don't have a baby by 40, then what? What
Then
bad thing's going to happen?
then maybe I've missed my train, and or I might not experience that kind of love that I've yearned for since I was a little girl. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have lots of big picture expectations about what it'll be like to be a mother.
Yeah.
And is that voice you're talking about now, is that a happy voice or a scary voice?
It's a little scared. However, I have been assimilating, processing this for a few years.
Yeah.
And today I heard something about a prayer of like to ask God to give me the strength to accept it if I'm not able to have children someday. So that's how I'm finding peace. But I have faith and hope that maybe I will. I hope.
Right. I hope so too. Good.
Thanks.
So the scary voice says all these bad things are going to happen if you don't have a child by 40.
Yeah, like, yeah.
So what would a more confident, empowering voice say about that whole process?
I would say to trust in life, that I have a lot of love to give, and I will be able to give it to a child, hopefully
Yeah.
some kind of child, maybe.
Mm.
Yeah, hopefully it could be mine, and if not, then maybe another
Yeah.
child.
So if I relax and trust, I can fulfill my motherly intention one way or
Yeah.
another.
Yes. Mhm.
And which
Yeah.
voice feel? How does that voice feel?
It feels good, emotional, but good. Yeah.
Emotional, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, my mother was 42 when I was
Oh,
born,
yeah. Oh, lovely.
and more and more women are having babies at older ages. In fact, about 10 years ago, I read an article on the web that the oldest man to father a record was 90 to father the record for oldest man to father a child was 93, an Indian guy, and his wife was 53.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's lovely. Thank you.
So you may have more time than you realize. Huh?
Yeah. Nice.
So let's flip this one more time. Thank you for being honest. So what would a happy vision of having a baby be? What's exciting to you about having a child? What happens inside you when you think about that?
Ah, um, I feel like I'll have this opportunity to be a child again as well, in a way, and to be able to also um, e- experience this love like no other,
Mhm.
and be able to help plant a seed through my child for this world, for humanity,
Mhm.
because yes.
So those are all beautiful, uplifting, expansive visions, aren't they? It's exciting to have a
Yes.
child when you think about it like that, right?
Yes, very exciting.
And so which feels better? I'm going to totally mess up if I don't have a baby, or I can plant a seed that will help humanity. Which one feels better?
The planting a seed.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so from what I know about the law of attraction, when you're excited about something, your ability to attract it is magnified many-fold over the time when you're resisting it not happening. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
Making sense?
Yes. Yes, definitely.
So my suggestion to you would be to stay in that excited mode more than the worrying about it not happening mode.
Okay.
And I think I even mentioned in this particular group that there's a phenomenon of couples who trying to conceive and they can't, and they do all kinds
Yeah.
of fertility treatments, and eventually they adopt.
Hmm.
And then as soon as they adopt, they get pregnant physically.
Yes, I've heard of
Because
that.
first they were very vibrational, no baby, no baby, no baby, no baby, no baby.
Mm,
And then when they finally have a baby through adoption, they're baby, 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 baby. And now they're an energetic match sort of aligned with babyhood.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
my knowingness for you is that the more you align with the joy of having a child, the more you'll attract that. Okay.
Yes. Thank you so much,
So
Alan.
thank you for being honest.
Thank you.
Send us some nice chats. Okay, for being so honest. We appreciate that.
Hi.
Okay, good stuff. Maybe I'll get a
Thanks.
good
Oh,
report from you before long.
thank you.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Kevin says his mom was 46. Okay, let's take a survey here. My two friends had their baby at 43. So look at that. Look at that. See, that it's possible. And you have such a lovely energy. I think that your open heart will attract the perfect situation to you. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So, let's do our affirmation together. Open your mic if you would. Excuse the typo. Here we go. Target dates.
Completion.
Empower me.
Empower me.
Get the best.
The best job done in the
Job done
perfect
in the
time.
perfect time.
I enjoy the
I
journey
enjoy the journey
as
as
well
well
as
as
the
the
goal.
goal.
With delight
With
how great I will
How
feel,
great I will
how
feel.
good it will be
How
to
good it will
my
be to
goals.
achieve my
in perfect
goals
timing.
in perfect timing. So there. And my parents had 4 miscarriages before I was born.
Oh.
And then they'd essentially given up.
Huh.
And then my mother conceived, I guess, when she was 41. I thought, well, what the hell? And well, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. They were completely unattached by that time. And I was the first one that took. So I think in their relaxed mode and without struggling, they opened doors that they weren't opening. They were more tense about it. Okay. Okay, so I have another lesson here. And the idea is that it's never a good idea to make a decision under pressure or when you're upset. Now, sometimes, of course, you have to do stuff under pressure. We know that happens. But if you have any choice about it, pressure usually doesn't help, especially if somebody is pressuring you. So if somebody's pressuring you to get married or have a baby or take a different job, and they're not going to take no for an answer, that's usually an indication it's not a time to say yes, because people who pressure you are usually in fear. And when you're in fear, you do not see accurately, you do not make healthy decisions, and you do not relate to other people wisely. So I don't want to ask you now, but think about it. Is anybody pressuring you to do something? And if so, what is their motive? To buy something? A salesman tries to pressure you. Somebody tries to pressure you to join a religion. Somebody tries to pressure you to not leave a religion. We've had a lot of people in my groups who left a religion that they found was dogmatic and unethical. And you would not believe the pressure that is levied upon them from the religion or a cult, the same thing. And so when somebody's trying to pressure you to do something, I would I would say that's more likely a sign to not do it. You get it? And I'll throw in another parenthetical idea here. I once heard Kenny Loggins say, I went to one of his workshops once, and he said, let the one in least fear lead. Nishank, would you type that into the chat, please? Let the one in least fear lead. Would somebody say what that means to you? I'll say, but I want to hear your opinion. What do you think that means when it says, let the one in least fear lead? Barbara Lovejoy. What do you think that means, Barbara? Barbara. Okay, she didn't hear me. Can I call on? Are you there, Barbara?
I
Yes.
just unmuted myself. Yes.
Okay.
Would
So,
you? I'm
You're
sort
a
of
smart. You're a smart cookie. What do what do you think it means to let the one in least fear lead?
the one who leads what? I can't.
Let the one in least fear lead.
Well, that means that we lead best when we're in touch with our true inner wise self, not our fearful self.
And if somebody is fearful, why should you not let them lead?
Because then you're going to probably make the really worst decision possible.
Yeah.
Because fear can't possibly be in touch with love and harmony and inner guidance.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you.
Thank you. I felt a little pressured.
I get. Yeah, but you rose to the occasion. Thank you.
Thank you.
I knew you had it in you.
Thank you, Alan, for
Thank you.
believing in me.
So somebody who pressures you is in fear. And if they're in fear, they're not seeing clearly and they're not seeing you clearly. So, and now, like back to Maria, if you're pressuring yourself you're not seeing clearly. Self-pressure is just as bad or even worse than somebody else pressuring you. So be very careful of time pressure. Now, I know there are some things that you have to pay your tax on time. I know you got to get to work. I know there's things you got to do. But if you have any choice about it, try to avoid a pressure decision. Julie.
I had the thought while Barbara was speaking that our Congress is like the perfect picture of this right now.
Yes.
They are so leading from fear and afraid of losing their job and all this stuff that it's just become a circus.
Becomes a joke. Yeah.
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 So
Unfortunately, a lot of legislation is fear-based, isn't it?
it really
And
is.
so wouldn't it be nice if our Congress people have the guts to lead from their heart and their conscience more than their party or their fear? Yeah. Okay. And you're right in that area, aren't you? So you know what's going on. Thank you, Julie.
Take to the circus.
Okay. Okay. Any comments more about decision making and pressure? Okay, now, okay, this is really good stuff. Now, if it's some really good stuff, I'll tell you. It's all good stuff, but this is really good stuff. So when you rest your thinking mind, you give your subconscious a chance to do the work for you. And this is why the old phrase, I will sleep on it, is powerful. So somebody makes an assertion or a proposal or pressure, and you don't quite know. You say, please let me sleep on it. And then you say, I'll get back to you. And then before you go to sleep, you ask your subconscious mind, would you please give me some guidance? Either in a dream or a vision, or when I wake up, some kind of knowing. Now, I knew a guy whose father was one of the engineers who worked for NASA to put guys on the moon. And he was also a spiritual man. So when he would go to sleep, they'd be working on some jet propulsion experiment or whatever. And he would say, please show me the answer to this experiment. And he had a little yellow pad by the side of his bed. And my friend said his father would always wake up with the answer. And he would take it into the laboratory and it would work. Because he knew that the thinking mind is a rather limited mind to get you where you want to go. He knew that we have a deep subconscious mind, like the bottom 9/10 of an iceberg, that knows a lot more than the thinking mind does. Now, Thomas Edison used this very same technique. And the story goes that if he had an experiment that he was stymied on, he would lay down on his couch for one of his famous cat naps, and he would hold a rock in his hand. And he would be thinking about the experiment as he fell asleep. And when he became so relaxed that he went to sleep, his palm would open and the rock would fall to the floor with a thud, and it would startle him. But at that moment, he had already sank into his subconscious mind, which was activated by his question before he went to sleep, before he napped, and he knew the answer. And that's how he got a lot of his experiments solved, by letting his subconscious do the work. And I often pray before I go to sleep, show me the answer to this. What choice should I make about this? Show me, show me, show me. And when you let the conscious mind rest, the subconscious mind will work in your favor, because that's the mind of God. It's God speaking to you through your inner self, not your thinking self. Okay? Julie's had a new hand to the original one.
Probably the original one.
Okay, all over. Thank you. Okay, any questions or comments about sleeping on it, or napping on it, or meditating on it? In all of those modalities, the monkey mind gets to be put aside for a while, and the divine mind gets to do its work. Okay? Questions or comments? Okay. So let us say our affirmation together. This is, they say that time heals all wounds. It's not time itself that heals all wounds, but it's just allowing yourself space for the inner process to unfold organically. Okay. So let's say this together. I allow time,
to help me sort out my feelings, attention, my choices.
I can
Wait until I know,
and
I trust that when I know, I will be well guided.
will be guided. This will save you a lot of trouble making foolish decisions. Because when you make a foolish decision, you have to retrace your steps to the place where you made the foolish choice and come back and make the wise choice. This is a time-saving tool by allowing time to help you. It's kind of a paradox. The more time you allow, the more time you save, because you don't have to backtrack and undo stuff you did by mistake. Got it? This is good stuff. August, I've had a great time with this course. I don't know about you, but I've really enjoyed this material. I think it's all juicy. Every single lesson is juicy. I've learned a lot, so I've got my money's worth. Thank you very much. Okay, let's talk now about what I call the late show. And interrupt me at any time. It's just fine. So we're talking about people who are regularly late. And raise your hand or put your hand up, and if you tend to be late or have tended to be late. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. So I used to be late, and I thought a lot out about it. And I heard a psychologist say that people who are compulsively late have a power issue. I'm not saying this applies to you, but it's a possibility. That people, I had a secretary once who was late all the time. She was late on day one, and she was late until the day I fired her. It was a habit. And I said it's a power issue. In other words, somebody has sort of a rebellious teenager inside them that says, I'm not going to show up when you want me to. I'm going to show up when I want it. I'm going to choose when I show up. You're not going to tell me when to show up. I'm going to show up when I want to show up. So that's one possibility. It's kind of a rebellious teenager. Another possibility is that you're trying too hard to do too many things at once. And your ego says you must do all this and all this by the end of the day. And so you end up not doing it all and being late for the stuff you're trying to do. And I had a turning point. Many years ago, I hired this lady to help me organize stuff. And I was supposed to have a meeting with her one evening. And something else happened that I really wanted to do. And I completely forgot about meeting her. And she showed up and I didn't. And I talked to her the next day. And she said, you know, Alan, we had a meeting last night. I know you didn't come. And I'm sorry you didn't come because our time together is really important. And this project was really important to me. So I was hoping you would have been there. And the way she said it to me was so kind that it wasn't a guilt trip. It wasn't a make wrong. She was kind of teaching me that she valued our time on this project together. And I thought, wow, I could have supported and helped her and myself by showing up. So since that time, I've reframed showing up on time as a kindness and a service to the people who have given of their busy day to show up on time to meet me. It's kind of like an act of love more than a logistical task. And I'm pretty good about being on time now. Sometimes I'm actually anal about it, but we won't go there. Julie, did you want to say something this time? Yeah.
I did. There was a study done on this. I forget the university that did it. And what they discovered is that people that are typically late, like they had everybody like, you have to tell me when a minute's up.
Right.
And the people who always thought the minute was longer are the people that are always late. And the people who always thought it was shorter are the people who always. And so that helped me to start, like when I tell someone I'm going to be somewhere at a certain time, I'm careful to say, oh, I'm going to be in the 10, it's probably going to be 20 minutes, because now I think about, I'm thinking of time in a different way or a different type. And so it just makes me conscious of that. So
shifted your mindset about how long it takes. Yeah. Good. Thank you. Good shares. So I'll tell you something that's really helped me. So there's an affirmation, and there are 3 great affirmations in this course. I'll remind you what the other ones are. But one is, I can always do one thing less than I think I can. This really helps me a lot because I do all kinds of errands. I think I have to do all kinds of things by 3 o'clock, and I get late, and I realize that I've made up a story about stuff I have to do that doesn't really have to be done. And this reverts to our earlier affirmation. I always have time to do the things that Spirit would have me do. This is related. And so if you tend to get harried and worried and stressed and late, so remember this affirmation. I say it often. I can always do one thing less than I think I can, which means, how about if I stripped away some of that extra stuff that I made up a story that I have to do that I don't really have to do? Because it's only when you start doing that extra stuff that you get stressed and late. Let's all say this together, okay? I can always do
One thing less than I think I can.
And I think I can. Now, the ego says, you're not enough. You must do more. You can always do one thing more than you think you can. And it's that one thing more that really tips you over the edge and screws you up. But when you go back to one thing less, then you have some space and you'll find you get everything you need to do done. Comments or questions about this, please. They're all welcome. Mizuki-san is smiling. She has such a beautiful smile, Mizuki-san. Is there anything less say about this? You're just smiling naturally. Go ahead.
Yeah. Because I realized that every day I have kind of my to-do list. Well, I try to be, but I make my to-do list. And every day some post-its are left. And I don't feel good. So when I heard I can do one thing less than what I think I can do, it will be very helpful for me to live more peacefully and more happily, because after all, I never finish all of them. So why do I keep pressuring myself with 2 more post-its every day? I never finished all of that in my life.
How many do you usually have on your list?
It depends on the amount of time it takes, but yeah, sometimes it can be like 6, 7, or 3. It's a big project. Always something.
Can I give you some homework?
Yes.
Okay, so keep doing your to-do list, but after you're done, I want you to cross the last one off. Okay, I want you to subtract 1 from your to-do list. Okay.
Yeah, this will be so helpful because visually I see that and I realize it happens every day.
Okay, well, stop it.
Thank you.
Cross off number 7. Take a big magic marker, cross off number 7, and leave 6. Okay.
My life will be much happier from today.
Okay, well then it's worth your investment in the course.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Give me a report, okay? Okay. So let's all firm together. Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
I
I
masterfully
and lovingly
lovingly
show up.
show
I
up
say
when I
I
say I
will.
will.
keeping my
Keeping
time
my time
agreements
agreements and empowers me.
people I am
People I'm
meeting
meeting
with
with. People I am meeting
People I
with.
am
in
meeting with.
harmony
Live
with
in
my
harmony
values
with my
about
values,
time.
harmony with my values
Values
about
about
time.
Now, that last sentence is kind of a caveat because some people don't really care about being on time. And no matter how many times I tell them how many courses they take, they're not going to show up. So if you're a person who just would rather show up time, go for it. God bless you. This is why I could never live in Los Angeles, because nobody in Los Angeles ever shows up on time. I've gone to meetings there, I've gone to parties there. Nobody cares a damn about time there. So I go to stuff and I wait for them. They show up 4 hours later. So I said, heck with you. I'm not going to do anything. I don't do anything with anybody in Los Angeles anymore because they never show up and they never do anything. They never do anything when they say they're going to do. Maria, are you in Los Angeles? Okay, but
No, but I'm in Spain and it's a little similar
Oh, yeah,
in
there you
some
go.
industry.
Okay, let's group it together. Spain, Hawaii, India.
India.
Mexico.
When I first started doing Indian programs, Nishank said, "Good luck about getting the Indians to show up on time." But I pressured them, and they all showed up on time. I trained them all on time for my programs. So anyway, I was the exception to the rule. Okay, Spain. Okay, got it. The warmer climates are much looser about time. The colder climates, Mexico too, same thing, Spanish.
Yeah.
The colder climates are much more better about time. Okay. Okay, last lesson. This is really good too. Okay. So who here is worried about aging? You won't have to raise your hand, but just think to yourself, is aging a concern to you? Not that you're waiting to have a baby, but it could be 60, 70, and you think, well, I'm getting too old now. Okay. So let's look into aging. This is a very metaphysical course. So the truth is that the body and other material things age, but you do not. Okay, this is such a key element here. So the idea here is that who you are is a spiritual being. You are a soul. You are an expression of God. And there's a part of you that has no age. No matter whether you're born as young, old, you live, die, there's a you that is immortal, deathless, and eternal. I think I made a slide on this. Let's have a look here. So you are an eternal, immortal, deathless spirit. Let's say it together with I. Open your mic. I am. I
am
Eternal,
immortal,
deathless spirit.
Close your mic, please. So what this means is that who you really are has nothing to do with age, with anything that ages. You're a point of consciousness. You're a thought in the mind of God. You're an expression of God. Someone said, they used to ask my teacher, Hilda, how old are you? No, she never told anybody. She said, I was never born, I'll never die. And she would answer another answer. She would say, I'm as old as God and as young as the morning. I'm as old as God, as young as the morning. So what we're going for here is not to be distracted by identifying with anything that ages. Now, I'm the same person I always was. I don't care how old my body is, but I'm me. I'm a point of consciousness that's known as Alan, but I don't even have a name for real. I'm the same at this age. I'm the same person I was when I was 10. Now I'm smarter. I've learned some things. I've matured, but the me inside is the same. I don't feel any different than I did at 38 or 20 or 28. Who I am is me. I'm just me. And who you are is just you. No matter how old you get, you're always going to be just you. It's hard to put into words, isn't it? But it's just the way it is. And if you know people who are in their 80s or 90s and they're very vital, it's because they don't think about the body very much. We had a lady who used to come to my workshops. Her name was Elsita. And she was like 90. She would come to my workshops in her late 80s. And she was so beautiful. She had this nice soft, she was a very attractive woman. And so somebody asked her at one of our workshops, Elsita, how do you stay so beautiful and young looking? She says, well, every morning when I put my cold cream on, I go, beauty, 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 love, 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 happy, happy, happy. And so the next morning I could hear all the women in the retreat going, beauty, 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 happy, happy, happy. And then one day we had a retreat, and our registrar had to go into her room, and she wasn't there, but there was a hash pipe on her, hashish pipe on her dresser. And then Elsita walked in, and the guys don't want hash, hash, like a drug, like marijuana. And so she said, Elsita, do you really smoke this? She says, well, darling, she says, these days, I think one almost has to. Well, God bless her. She lived until her mid-90s, and she was just a lovely model. She was ageless. I was so attracted to her. She was just such a divine light of a soul. So get over this thing that you ever get old and grumpy and fall apart. Get over it. It's just, these are belief systems. And if you're not careful, you will align with a belief system that doesn't serve you. Okay. What bullshit stories have you heard about age? What did your parents tell you about, or your culture? Let's defuse some of these lies. What are some of the illusions you've been told about age? I'll tell you one I heard recently. A realtor guy I know said, well, last year I hit, I'm not going to say the number. He said, my warranty ran out. So I thought, oh, come on, dude. What have you heard about aging? Yeah, Kevin, let's hear. I'll put your mic on, Kevin.
A man that was my neighbor years ago, he was a house mover, one of the best men I ever knew in my life, just a beautiful fellow. And when I knew him, he was 83, and he was very vital, and he lived, to like 88, being my friend. And he said, I was the man I ever was until I reached the age of 60. And then things started falling apart. And I reached 60, December 5th, just 3 or 4 days ago. And, that's a message that I don't want that message. I'm hearing it, and I had a big respect for him. And I'd like to cancel and clear that message because I don't want that evil on me.
So I have a good lawyer question for you, okay?
Yeah.
So if everything fell apart at 60, how did he live until 85 or whatever?
Well, he felt like when he eventually did die, he took care of his wife, and we became friends because I helped him take care of his wife, and she was an invalid. And when she died, he died shortly after, and he stopped taking all of his medicines, and he said, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. Yeah. And so he just felt bad. He felt like his body didn't work.
Right. Well, isn't it interesting that he passed soon after his wife? I hear that quite often.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. So are you willing to challenge the notion that you start falling apart at 60, especially?
I am willing to challenge it. Yes, please, God. I would like to challenge that. I do not want to.
I partner with you. Okay. Thank you. I attended a workshop once, and the teacher had us write. He did lots of exercise. We had to write down things about our problems and our issues and stuff like that. And at the end of each exercise, we were sitting in a circle. He put a trash can in the middle of the circle. He said, now take what you've written about all your issues now and throw it in the trash can. Let's all say together, this is all bullshit. So we throw all of our problems into the trash can and say, this is all bullshit. Lois, what did you hear about age?
Well, I caught myself recently noticing that I was believing something my doctor said.
Yes.
And what he said, in 2 years, I'm going to hit 80. So,
Yeah.
80 is kind of a scary number. And I found myself believing the doctor when he told me, you're getting close to 80 and you have to start exercising with weights. You have to start doing this and start doing that. Because when you hit 80, the body, the muscles start to get weak and this starts to happen. And I noticed that I was believing him. And I'm like, no, I don't want to believe that. That is not empowering. That's not who I am. I live an exciting, vital, vibrant life. And I don't think that's going to disappear when I hit a certain number.
Good for you.
And, I just know that it's like, I want to monitor myself that I don't fall into those traps.
Yes, thank you. I think that your vitality and your vivaciousness and your joy and your beautiful heart, I think that will empower you far more than lifting weights.
Thank you.
It's going to keep you young. Okay. So a guy goes to the doctor and says, this arm hurts. And the doctor says, well, it's because you're getting old. And he said, well, this arm is the same age and that doesn't hurt. So being old doesn't make your arm hurt. Okay. Any other illusions you've been told about age? Okay. Tian, who's Tian? Let's hear. Hi.
Hi, Alan.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Well, I recently had a birthday, and normally I don't think about my age at all. And I went out with an acquaintance, and he said to me, you don't look your age and you don't act your age. And I don't know why, but that really just threw me for a loop. I don't know.
Said you don't look your age, like you're so old, you don't look so old. Is that the idea?
Yeah, like he thought I was young, and I guess he said I don't look my age, I don't act my age, and it just kind of made me very, very self-conscious.
Yeah, that's kind of a left-handed compliment, isn't it? Like you don't look as old and decrepit as you really are.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think you're young because you're young, regardless of how many orbits you've had around the sun. What do you think about that?
Yes, I like that.
Yeah. People are so weird about age. I'll tell you, I get on my soapbox now, okay? So we take our dog to the beach every night to walk them, and they're a little older, they go a little slower. And you would not believe the number of people who walk up to me. I don't even know these people. They look at me, they look at my dog, they point to the dog and they say, how old? They don't say, nice dog, what kind of dog do you have? What's the dog's name? How old? A lot of people just, how old? I don't know what the thing is. People, they're just obsessed. I don't get it. I don't get it. So I say, none of your business. They say, how old are you? I say, you look twice your age. Okay, so I look pretty good for an old fart. My mother used to live in a senior citizens building, and she said, and she would sit in the lobby, and then she would go up to her apartment, and then she would get on the intercom to listen to them to see if they were talking about her. So I said, why don't you hang out with her? There's a bunch of old farts. She was older than they were, but she didn't have an old fart mentality. Okay, I'm off on a tangent now, pardon me. Okay, somebody can translate for the Japanese. Okay, so do you know what an old fart is, Mizuki-san? Somebody, I'll explain it to you next time I come to Japan. Okay, so there's a great lesson for Course in Miracles, lesson 76. I am under no laws but God's. And the Course says that you've been trained that there's all kinds of laws that bind you. The laws of physical health, the laws of nutrition, the laws of economics, the laws of politics, all kinds of laws, cultural laws, religious laws, racial laws. And it says the true you has nothing to do with any of those laws. That those laws bind you only if you agree with them. And it says the only law you're under is the law of God's, which is eternal and expansive and never stuffs you into a body for any reason. So if you're a Course in Miracles student or you're not, look up lesson 76. It's a beautiful lesson on rising above all the laws that people make up. Okay, let's finish this up. Now, this is from Bashar. And Bashar says that, I'll just explain it to you without the slide. He said that when you're doing something you love, like writing, dancing, making love, music, art, 2 hours have passed on the clock, but it feels just like 15 minutes. When you're doing something you hate, 15 minutes has passed, but it feels like 2 hours. He said that you have aged according to your experience, not the amount of time. So if you're having fun for 2 hours and it feels like it's been 15 minutes, you've aged only 15 minutes because that was your psychic experience. If you're doing something you hate and the clock says 15 minutes and you feel like 2 hours, you've aged 2 hours because that's your psychic experience. Make sense here? So we come back to an early lesson that when you do what you love, you defeat time. Like the best way to stay young is to do as much of what you love as you can, to stay out of a time consciousness, to stay in Kairos instead of Chronos. And that's how you stay young. The more you do that you love, it says, I think I even wrote here, it says passion liberates life. When you do what you're passionate about, all kinds of hormones and chemicals get excreted into your system that keep you healthy and vital and alive and young. When you do what you hate, all kinds of toxins get shot into your system. So your best contribution to staying young and healthy is to do what you're passionate about. Passionate people stay young forever. That Alcita, look at one of my great role models is, her name escaped me, the lady who works with apes, chimpanzees, help me.
Jane Goodall, Ellen.
Jane Goodall.
Come on. Anyway, she's in her 80s now. She did all the chimpanzee studies. She's an advocate for the environment. It'll come to me in a minute.
Jane Goodall.
Jane Goodall, yeah. So Jane Goodall, she's been championing the environment for 60 years now. She's in her mid-80s. Until recently, she was traveling 300 days a year. She looks so beautiful. She's so vital and alive because she has a passionate cause that she's working for. Can you imagine an 85-year-old person traveling 300 days a year and gaining energy as she does so? Because she's passionate about what she does. Thank you, whoever said that. Michael, what would you like to share, Michael?
Yeah, one of my heroes, she's in Massachusetts. There was an article about here about 6 months ago. She's 103 and she's still lobstering. So
she's still what? What's she doing?
Lobster. She goes out lobstering with her son.
Lobstering. Cool.
There's a picture of her throwing a lobster out and they're interviewing her sons, and the son's going, I'm 73. I want to retire, but mom's still working. So,
very good.
Really funny. Yeah.
So let's choose role models that we love, huh? Yeah. Dee was watching a series on centenarians, and a lot of them live in Okinawa. There's more centenarians in Okinawa than any place. And They all are physically active. They all garden. They all walk. They are part of community. They're very active in physical movement and spiritual movement. That's what keeps them young. More people living over 100 in Okinawa than any other place on the planet. So I'll be moving there soon. Okay. Now, one last thing. Immerse yourself in young company. Now, I don't mean physically young necessarily, but people who think young. I do not like to hang out with old people. Why? Because most of them talk about their aches and pains, and they make jokes about being old. I don't need to be around that. It's boring. It's annoying. So if I'm going to hang out with anybody, it's people who think young, they are young, they talk young. So don't hang out with people who think and talk and live old, because then you'll catch it like a disease. You'll catch age from people who think they're old. Don't do it. Julie, one last share. Go ahead, dear.
I've been very lucky in this respect. My aunt, who is now 94, I have a picture of her kayaking when she was 86.
Cool.
Yeah, she continues to be as active doing yoga and Pilates at 94.
Yeah.
She's just wonderful.
Let's make them our role models, shall we?
She's been my role model for years.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, let's finish up here. Don't make age-related complaints or jokes. The subconscious cannot take a joke. So when that guy says, I hit blank age, I'm not going to say what it was, my warranty fell apart, my warranty ended. So the subconscious absorbs that. So if you hear that, just say cancel, I do not accept that. That's bullshit. If you want to believe it, you can, but I don't need to. Okay? Okay. Repeat after me. Repeat with me. Here we go. I am not
the age of my body.
I am an unlimited, ageless, free spirit. The true me is not born,
but does not age
or die. Eternal life lives through me.
If you say this every day, you will live to be 100 plus. And you don't have to create some catastrophic disease to die. I knew a guy named Scott Nearing. Have you ever heard of him? He was a back to the land guy. He and his wife Helen wrote a book called Living the Good Life. They were the first ecologists back in 1930s, actually. And I heard that Scott hit age 100, and he thought, okay, I'm out of here. And he stopped eating big solid food. And then he stopped eating lighter food. And then he drank juices and he drank water. He just slipped out. It's a very gentle, peaceful transition. He just said, I'm done and see you around. And it was just a gradual, gentle release. And the Course in Miracles says, when you're done, you can just gently lay the body aside. We knew a guy in Big Island. He was 88, and he was the oldest living firefighter in Hawaii. He was still a firefighter. And his wife told us that one afternoon he lay down to take a nap, and he didn't wake up. Just kind of slipped out. How sweet was that, huh? Okay. So we're going to close off in a few minutes. Let's take a few moments to hear the main points you've gotten out of this course. So would some of you like to raise your hand and speak up? And some of you type into the chat. What are you taking from this course? Would you like to share? What's been meaningful to you? Hisako-san?
Yes. Hi, Alan. Thank you. I just want to say thank you very much for this lesson. And also, as you know, I studied with the ACAIM. Yes. And last time in the coaching room, I shared with my friend Kazuyo.
Yes.
Yeah, she's cancer on the stage 4. And so always she thought she had a deadline for her life, because obviously she is in cancer stage 4. But we think about, we don't have any deadline. We are spiritual being. We've been working together, and she decided to study with she decided to study ACM with me.
Great.
And now working with together.
Great.
And we found so many things coming to us. We got so many supporters. And so she has so getting more better and brighter. Great. And always, as I mentioned, always she refused chemotherapy. But she was so scared about if something happened to her body, and always she kept chemotherapy as some kind of escape route.
Yes.
Now she decided cut off this escape route. She just believed herself, and she just She believed as a Holy Spirit.
Great.
And I just getting much better. So I just want to share this story, and thank you very much for that happening.
Thank you for supporting your friend. Okay, very good. Let's go around. Just one sentence each person, okay? I'll just call on you. You raise your hand. Kevin, what are you taking from this course? Thank you for showing up diligently every week.
I love the idea of choosing my past and the notion that everything in my past I've either enjoyed or it's made me the person I am today and taught me critical lessons. And so that's one thing. And I love to make my to-be list rather than my to-do list at the beginning of the day. So those are two things that have really been wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Barbara, what are you taking from the program?
I love the course, and because I can feel very time pressured with my egos running the score. I love just do what you love, be in joy, and that's the eternal ageless bliss, because that's my intention, to only do what I love now and let go of all the other stuff.
Thank you. Come on, who else? A couple more people. Type it in or raise your hand either way. Okay, Amitabh. Thank you, Amitabh.
So one thing I'm taking back is I have an abundance of time, and I will always have an abundance of time. So there's no shortage of time. Like, I'm a time multi-billionaire.
You're a time billionaire. Thank you.
Yes. And also it couldn't have been any other, it couldn't have happened in a better way. Whatever's happened has always happened perfect and for my highest good.
Thank you, sir. Good affirmation. Hunter, thank you.
Yeah, I would say some of the early lessons were my favorite. I think the one just on stepping out of time scarcity into time abundance was really big for me as someone who lives in time scarcity and continually focusing on how I don't have enough time. And I loved your story about the time elasticity when you were putting that package off at the UPS, and it was a miracle that you kind of described. That really stuck with me. So I think about that a lot.
Good. Thank you for joining us. Mui Hyang Go, would you like to share?
Hi, Alan. Yes, for me, I think I really get out of it is just the fact that there's no regrets in my life so far.
Great.
As in whatever needs to happen had happened what it needs to be. And you know how you used to think back and it's like, oh, I should have done this or I should have done that, you know, but in retrospect, it actually turned out to be what it needs to be. I wasn't ready back then, and I'm ready right now. So it happens to be perfect timing there.
Thank you very much. Thanks for putting your video on. Nice to meet you.
Thank
Okay, let's start to wrap up. I'm so grateful for you all coming. Fun group. Thank you, Dee, for working behind the scenes or helping organize. Nice to see a lot of wonderful, familiar faces. I'm so honored you showed up. And so let us close our eyes for a moment of vision before we say goodbye. Oh, by the way, you will get 4 more new lessons tomorrow beyond the webinars. So anytime from tomorrow on, check. We will leave all the lessons up probably till the end of January. So we'll leave the website for the course up so you can download them until then. This is my new book. It just came out, Baby It's You. I'm really excited about it, getting great reviews. It's a novel about 5 people who are trying to change the world, and they have to change themselves. What a concept. Okay, so let's close our eyes, take a deep breath. So we complete by recognizing ourselves as being divine, whole, eternal beings. That time is a dimension we step into for our good use, but we are bigger than it. Time comes and goes, but we are forever. At this moment, let us all recognize our deep connection to spirit. We are spiritual beings moving through a physical experience, a time experience. It's all temporary, including time is temporary. Time will fade like everything else does. So get a vision of yourself as a whole being, an angel, if you will, a spark of God. And your life in time is just a very small portion of who you really are. Your body is a very small portion of who you really are. Your history is no portion of who you really are because you're just now. So thank you for, let's take a moment of gratitude for the insights you've gained during our time together, whatever they've been for you. And we thank Great Spirit that helps us come together and helps us know what we need to know. And my prayer and my vision and my intention for you is to go forth as a timeless being, as a being who's abundant in every way, including time and health and prosperity and relationships, recognizing that everything unfolds in perfect timing, that God's timing is perfect, that nothing happens before or after it needs to happen, so we can all relax into this great mosaic we call life. Recognize that we lose nothing and gain everything. And we are so beloved that we can outgrow time and claim mastery of our entire lives, just as we are. There's no more gap. We erase all sense of gap and recognize that we carry wholeness in the universe with us wherever we go. Wherever we go, I am. So just send some kind thoughts to everybody else here. Wish them well. Wish them happiness. Wish them blessings. Wish them peace. Wish them a holy holiday season. Wish them a bright and prosperous new year. And we know that none of us walk alone. That Spirit walks with us, as us, every moment. And we are blessed beyond our knowing. And so it is. Thank you, Nishank, for moderating. Thank you, everybody, showing up. Put your audio, video on, and say anything you'd like to close. I'd like to hear your voices.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alan.
Bye.
Much
It was
love.
lovely.
Happy holidays.
Thank you,
Happy New Year.
everybody.
See you all
Thank
again. Love you
you.
lots. Take care.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.